Fine, Eric Tabor. We're going to be talking through a couple different slates here on Wednesday. I am just going to start off with a quick vent of how you guys have known this has not been my finest year, my finest time for baseball, and I got myself into it again yesterday. I mentioned it in Discord right away, right after we got off air because we hadn't had the Seattle lineup when Cal Raleigh was announced out. I just plugged in my big 555. I just plugged Tyler Stevenson in, who was 200 more, which I had to spend. And I had Fried and Gill as my pitchers, and then I had the Baltimore mini stack with Mountcastle and the second baseman who hit a home run, and I cost myself. I ended up switching off of it and going for a Houston stack in my main one, which wasn't like Houston. Houston was good, obviously, but I ended up basically thinking anyway. I would have finished fifth for 20K in the 555 had I not made the switch. On top of it, what made things worse is I did cash in my 555 until I cashed as of all the games being over yesterday. When I woke up this morning, I missed by half a point. So it was just a very tilting, 20 whatever K swing, and just the way it's gone. And I at one point I also had a chance in the lottery to catch Sheets over there, who I was planning. I was ready for the 1-2 pictures. I was ready for it to happen. We had more time remaining than everybody. I had more time because I had the Seattle lineup and just couldn't quite get there in the lottery. But Sheets, you had a good day. Talk about it. I just wanted to start with my rant because it's been so frustrating, and to feel like you got a night where you're winning and you sort of nail everything. And I had Baltimore. I mean, if you look at my ownership on the thing that I posted, literally Baltimore was like half of my ownership, along with Houston being the other parts. I had 30% of the catcher Diaz, and I had 35% of Mountcastle. Like it just. To not have a big night on a night like that is just very tilting for me. So sorry, go ahead, Sheets.
So let me tell you my process yesterday. So I had to leave for the day at 9:30 in the morning. I had to go into the city. You had to see some doctors, had to do whatever, and that's why I wasn't able to make it back. But I knew I'd probably be able to make it back for at least like 6:45. You know what I mean? Just do lineups or whatever. So I put some lineups in at literally 9:30 in the morning, based on my projection 9:30 in the morning, which of course doesn't mean anything, right? And then, so we left the city at like 4:30, and I saw on my ETA, where it's normally like an hour, we were in rush hour, and it said ETA 7:05 p.m.
Oh my goodness!
Right on my car, and I'm with Stacy. I'm like, unless we can't pick up some steam or whatever, I at least have to pull to the side and just do something. I can't do much of anything from my phone when it comes to adjusting lineups. And I thought I was going to make it, and then you know what? It was 6:50, and I was still like 20 minutes away. I'm like, you know what? Let me just pull to the side and swap off of guys that are out, at least for now. And then it'll get me, and I'll get home. At least I'll be able to do like the late, the non-7:15 game. Sure. So I had a couple of guys that were out. I swapped out of them, whatever, and I put them in late games so that I could, like deal with that. Then I got back home. It was the first set of games that started, and so I updated my projections. I did everything, whatever. And I just did full late swap. And then I looked at who I had and whatever it is, and ended up with just some insane sweat. So this was the lottery with the leader of the effing free world, Frankie Montas. Okay, like yeah. just killing people, at 8%. And then I, as for those who were following, had all kinds of swipes like late. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like Yordan Alvarez, his last at bat goes to the wall. That literally is 50,000.
Hey, we were both rooting on that one.
Right. That literally goes over on that one. Not to mention that all of these guys that beat me got the 8th inning home run out of what's his name? Out of the other Cardinal, whoever the hell it was. Gorman. Okay. So these guys all got the Gorman home run. And then I actually cashed in this one. I did not have Montas. This had Mackenzie Gore with -5 points, but that was that yesterday? Or yeah, that was the other day. Sorry.
Yeah.
This is the fantasy. This was the qualifier from yesterday. Actually, I put $900 into a qualifier. Forgot that I did it. So I said, oh, great, I got to make heads or tails of this one. And this one, this one was just all these guys had Gorman who got there late. But let me talk about Montas for a second. Okay, now I'd love to say that I came up with it on my own and I was going to just play him the whole day or whatever. But I just wanted to mention something. Because I remember I did play Abbott the day before. Remember, for the whole season, okay, until like a week ago, people were playing hitters in Colorado, and they were streaming pitchers in Colorado too. And I'm like, that, I don't know why they're doing that, but there's got to be a reason. Colorado's got to be really bad. And so all these like kind of like half marginal pitchers would be highly owned even in Colorado. And all of a sudden, it all disappeared. Like Abbott the other day was like 0%, and he didn't do great, whatever. And yesterday, I've been playing Montas in like the last like 6 freaking starts, right? And then all of a sudden, then you know what? Now they're against Colorado, righty against Colorado. He freaking had a no hitter going through 6. It was pretty crazy. So that was actually those are actually kind of fun. When literally nobody had him like any of my tournaments. It was pretty crazy.
And the thing is, like, it would have been, the ideal, obviously, because what's his name? I mean, Fried went completely nuts too. I think
Fried went ballistic.
Yeah, I mean, like the Fried Montas was definitely the nuts, but in the 555, you do need the nuts to win the lottery. You don't need the nuts to win.
No, you do not. That is
so
correct.
I was a little tilted. I'm just going to really quickly show just for proving it to myself here. I'm going to show my screen if that's okay.
Yeah, let's do it.
Just because it's been a while since there's been a win, and I really felt like it was going to come last night, and I was tilted. Oh, I forgot to mention that I forgot that I had made that switch in the 555, so that was another stupid thing. But yeah, you see, Stevenson was the fill-in because I didn't have I couldn't play the Raleigh anymore, and just had the right Baltimore guys. So that 167.25 would have been 5th in the 555, and that's what I had it in as of while I was on air. I announced what I was playing, and then after we got the Seattle lineup, I changed it. So just a little tilted. That's all I wanted to do. Just wanted to get my venting out of the way. But Sheets, great job as always. And
so just to show you what butted you out of the money in the 555.
What was it?
So this is my 555 at big cash.
Mother effer.
With the Montas Dunning combination.
Scroll down a tiny bit. Scroll down with it, like just.
I'm afraid. I was one of these guys that tied.
I'm half a point. I'm 1 point short of you guys. No, I was 0.9 or something.
I was part of this whole train here.
Yeah, you had the train, so I ended up.
But I had the same score, but nobody had the Montas Dunning combination.
They're all different. They're all completely different. That's what's crazy, and this train is what somehow got me. And I don't even know how. I'm 193. I know it's not much. It's basically the same amount of points. It's just so just to get knocked out with that, and then I actually liked the lineup that I had, but Houston just couldn't quite get enough, and then I had Montero one off, which didn't get there anyway. Just a tilting night.
Meanwhile, I would also like to say that if you're playing the 555, you don't have to do this as far as your pitching combination. Okay, like I did by accident. You don't have to do this. Okay. Yeah. You don't have to play a 10% and 7% owned pitcher. And it's not like I played Cincinnati, but I played Cincinnati with St. Louis. Maybe you did have to do this if you want to play all this chalk. I don't know. Maybe you did.
If you want to play all the chalk, maybe, but I mean, like, fairness.
You don't have to play this way. You really don't.
Yeah. And sometimes I like it. Last night I thought it was a ceiling type of. I talked about that on air. I thought it was going to be a ceiling type of night for pitchers that some guys would put up a huge number. I didn't realize one of them would be Montas. I did play a little bit of Montas, but it seems like everybody today. All I looked though at on Twitter throughout the things like, oh, we knew Montas would be dominant. Yeah, everybody was saying it.
Everybody knew it.
Everybody knew it somehow. That's why they all 8% of them played it.
That's right. We all knew it, but only 8% people actually played it.
Right. Anyway, good job. We'll get into today. We'll talk through this early slate. We got 2 serious weather games that we're a little bit concerned about.
I didn't know that. Which are the weather games?
So the last 2, the Mets in New York in Washington, and then Philadelphia, Milwaukee, and Philly, which are pretty important because kind of everything you want to do pitching wise. Well, at least a lot of what you want to do pitching wise would probably have something to do with that. So I'm a little stuck on what to do. Well, not stuck. I'm not playing that many lineups. There's a very good chance I might just, say, hey, look, the writing's on the wall, Bobby, for a little break. Maybe after the NBA Finals, I'll take one. But I am worried about those 2 games playing. And the theme of the day is that if those games are in danger, then what do you do pitching wise? Because every offense looks great today, pretty much. So
I didn't realize you got 3. They're all 3 of them are yellow orange, right?
Just the 2 of them, right?
Well, I don't know what's tonight, what's tonight.
Oh, Cleveland is in the night slate.
Yeah. Okay. So I will just show you. I mean, like I ran stuff like much earlier today before I even knew weather or anything, and I was getting, and I didn't even update the projections yet. I'd be getting Milwaukee. You look what I have: Milwaukee, San Francisco, St. Louis, Philly, and Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing I looked at, which I kind of like to see, is that even though Milwaukee would be some of the highest, owned of my stacks in my top 50, like overall, I would only get like 6% of them if I played 5,000 lineups, which I won't. But
Right.
So that's sort of interesting. As far as pitching goes, I knew I was getting Mikolas in my 555, but let me see what I'd be actually getting here. So it looks as though across 50 lineups, I'd be getting Pivetta would be my top guy. Wow, against Atlanta. All right, it is what it is, I guess. And then Mikolas and Nola, Aaron Ashby, okay, and Spencer what? Okay, so who are those guys? Who's Aaron Ashby and Spencer Schwimmer?
Well, the Ashby one is probably the easy one you want to take a shot on, just because. I mean, you've got a guy on this slate so I'm just looking at, like, for example, look at strikeout projected for expectancy from SaberSim today. That's something I love to look at. And Nola, no surprise, but he's only at 6. Pavetta's at 5.8. Blanco's at 5.5. Next up is Aaron Ashby, who's 6K. He's at 4.7 only, but he's 6K. Graham Ashcraft would be right behind him. So both those guys would be the spend downs. Nola would be the obvious. I probably would just play him. I'm only play a couple lineups this morning. He probably would end up in both of them. I would have no interest in anything from I think there's so many good hitting spots on this slate. I would not be taking this weird leverage stance. But again, it's a baseball, so you don't have to. Doesn't mean everybody's going to hit. For what it's worth, in Boston, it's 87 degrees with 11-mile-an-hour winds blowing out to left center. That's like a pop-up turns into a freaking home run. So it's an interesting game with a 10 total with probably the 2 of the most popular pitchers on it. And I think I have to play one of them, because do I want to play Mikolas against Houston? They don't strike out and he doesn't strike anybody out. Blanco's at 10.7 and they just let him pitch all of 4 innings in his last game where he gave up. He struggled a little bit. I just don't feel like 10-7 feels like the right thing. I think I'd rather take a shot on Schwellenbach or Pivetta. Schwellenbach is, a good strikeout numbers in the minor leagues. Only had 1 start so far. He did throw 88 pitches. That's enough for me. We know Boston can struggle. This is not the same Boston offense that we've seen from the years past. Just look at the bottom 4 in the lineup. So I kind of decided on him over Pivetta, and I kind of decided that Ashcraft is my second favorite SP2, because I am not going to mess with the weather games pitching wise as of right now. Now, if once we get out of here,
we're never getting out of here. I mean,
you're right. Well, once if we get word that the weather looks a little bit better, I would just take the risk and play Nola. But I'm settling in sort of on Schwellenbach, Pivetta, or Ashcraft as my pitchers, and I don't mind the idea of using Hicks in Montgomery because the slate is so weird. But that's the order I would have them.
Well, you're usually the guy I can count on for a little Mikolas action. I guess not, huh?
It's just the lack of Houston striking out. Yeah, combined with the fact that he can't strike anybody out.
Yeah, it's a bad. Well, I guess that's a good combination, right? I mean,
but also you can play a lot of the Cincinnati guys or the expensive guys you want if you play Trey Cabbage, who's 2K batting 7th for Houston. So he's like the only 2K guy on the slate. That's another reason why I ended up. And look, it's Mikolas versus Ashcraft versus Ashby. I just don't think there's a huge gap, so maybe I will throw Mikolas into one, but I think there's more strikeout upside for Ashcraft and for Ashby if that game.
Wait. Let me make sure I get the right one. So Ashby is which one? Ashby is Milwaukee, and Ashcraft is
Cincinnati in Colorado.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on here with the guys coming this morning. I'm gonna close these windows. Still kind of loud. All right. So.
Wow, that's really humming over there, huh?
AJ, that's a really you're picking nits here with me saying that obviously it was a joke that a pop-up's a home run. 11-mile-an-hour winds in Boston is a joke because you have a 275-foot fence away in left field. That's what I meant. So yes, 11-mile-an-hour winds to 87-degree weather absolutely does make a difference, and you are completely wrong if you think otherwise. Doesn't mean it's guaranteed anything, just means that it's a much better hitting situation than usual. That's why these teams have a 10 total. And you have Pivetta Pivetta against the team is projected to score 5 runs. is not something you would see on a normal slate.
Yeah, I guess not.
All right, so what you're getting, so that makes sense for your things. I just don't know what you're like. I'm always curious about the multi-entry stuff.
Well, I'm redoing everything right now. So, but the first question, I just redid the projections, by the way. So I'm gonna do it again. But here's my question again: is what do I do with these weather games? I mean,
that's the thing.
So what's the first weather game? The Washington Philly. And Philly, and what else?
Washington and Philly. Those are the two.
So those are the late games, right? I'm telling you, I'll probably end up getting a whole bunch of Mets. Let me just see. So that I'm gonna have to worry about that if that's what I get. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna first I change the projections, okay, and then I'm gonna just run 50 lineups, or we're in 5,000 lineups. We're not gonna do the Sims yet or anything like that. And I want to see what I'd be getting of those late games, because that's gonna, I got to decide what I want to do with that. Because if I wait for those late games, and then it turns out that, like, you know, they get rained out beforehand, all I got left is like San Francisco or Arizona to swap to, unless I want to just risk that they delay and then play. I mean, it's 4 o'clock, right? I mean,
yeah. There's the thing is, I think that's like the only problem is like it stays bad in Philadelphia for a while later. But I think that if I was multi-entering on this with how bad this slate is, I probably would just let it fly. That's personally. But with 2 lineups, I think you can make an argument either way. And I'm trying to decide that whether I'm going to use the NOLA thing.
Who's pitching for Houston? Which one?
For Houston is Blanco.
It's Blanco. These Cardinals guys have been good to me. This Wynn guy's been good to me. I don't think he's playing today.
You know what's so funny is I moved him out of my lineups after I saw that he was supposed to be batting leadoff, and he's been batting leadoff, and then they moved him to 8th, so I took him out.
Okay.
Sad little mistake there.
Okay, so this is really interesting. Before I do anything else, like the overwhelming team is San Francisco in my build. Like literally 100% San Francisco of the 50, followed by the Mets and the Reds.
Interesting.
That is sort of interesting. Okay, so just for the fun of it, let me see what the Sims would give me if I did that. What's good about that is that if I decide to go play those Milwaukee and Washington games, that I could feel okay about swapping to San Francisco if that's what I have to do. Boy, they got a lot of activity going on there, huh?
I'm just going to address this is the stuff in the chat. These guys are having going after a little bit. Always good to see you, Remo, buddy. Good to see you, man. Yeah, you're never playing a non-starter without a home run. I know that's a joke that you made, but I thought that was kind of funny. And yes, weather is one of the most important things to look at, especially as the seasons change. I mean, just look at the Cubs numbers every year in April and May versus the rest of the season, versus the rest of the summer, and then how bad it gets again in September sometimes. It's just weather's a huge deal, and that's why you see it in the run totals. That's why Vegas and everybody else know that it matters. I've heard people at times say weather doesn't matter. That's just couldn't be further from the truth. But the projections tend to incorporate them.
Yeah, I was wondering why the Mets had such a total. I keep forgetting they're against Corbin.
They're against Corbin, and it's another. I mean, you're out there. It's warm, right?
I'm not out there. I'm in New York.
Oh my God! I keep thinking that it game's in New York for some reason.
Yeah, it's 80 degrees here though, so it's
82 with 8-mile-an-hour winds blowing out. Seems like a nice hitting weather. 69% humidity. Not bad. Everywhere is a great hitting spot today. The only game that's Arizona's got the roof closed. That's the only thing and Houston has the roof closed. So I think that unless we hear because again, shout out to Roth. He's the best weather guy in the business. As far as I'm concerned, he's been right for me almost all the time and very rarely wrong. But he's saying that in Philadelphia, it's like it'll start dry, but the storms moving in will arrive and they'll be around for a while. But it seems like that's something I would rather gamble on. And well, the Mets is the opposite. It's the main line will be clearing around first pitch, but then there's the lingering storms, and they just can't tell how long they linger. So maybe we get some delay or something like that information, and maybe Roth can help us out a little before lock, because I don't know what else to do with the way it is right now.
One thing I will say is that SaberSim is definitely in a mood today. So just to like show you, like when I run these sims right now, and I'm going to save these for now. No big deal, just 90% Milwaukee, against Nola. And of course, my 555 pitching combination is Corbin and Ashby together. So it's they're definitely in a mood. That's the best I could describe it. So we'll see what I actually end up doing, but that might even be a little bit too much leverage for me. And I've been, as you know, I've been playing really kooky this season and been doing well with it.
Absolutely.
Even that, I'm not. I don't know if I can do it. I just don't know I have it in me. I don't know.
Yeah. It's different, like you playing with goofy stuff and then playing games that may not happen.
Right, that's true.
It gets really uncomfortable. Like, you know what I mean? It doesn't feel right.
You like you like Colorado at all today or
no? Yeah, they're fine. I mean, I think I prefer the lefties in that game because there's wind blowing in from left field. But
okay.
I'm okay with everybody. Yeah, I'm okay with that game. I have Cincinnati. I don't care about stacking if you're treating it like a 4-gamer. If you're treating it like a 6-gamer, I think you should try to stack more. But Cincinnati, Atlanta, Houston is where I found myself the most. Those are basically the only teams I'm using right now in my lineups. All right, let me know whenever you're ready because I can jump into the main slate whenever.
Let me just do one.
Yeah, I'll do a quick thing as well. I'm gonna do that and then Severino, and then we'll play only those games.
Severino.
Severino. Wait, let me just see something. Did I miss something?
I don't know what team is he on.
Yeah, the Mets. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, well, today.
I was confused for a second about
You're playing that clown? Oh.
Well, you just anybody who played for the Yankees, man, you just hate.
That's correct.
Everybody who's there.
I'm not biased at all. That's it.
Yeah, right.
If I'm not mistaken, like the Montgomery, he got lit up in his last start, as did Severino. No offense.
Did Montgomery?
Oh, sure.
Oh, I don't remember it.
Oh, yeah.
All right. I'll take it.
That was when the Arizona Mets blew up, remember?
Oh, yeah.
Every game, there was like 20 runs in it.
Yeah. Yeah, he got crushed. That's true. I forgot that was one of those. I know that you were very following on those because you were into those for more than I was.
Oh, yeah.
All right. I do really like the Mets, by the way, if that game does play today. I think that's an awesome stack. I know that's not anything groundbreaking, but
and Lindor's been going bananas.
Yeah. I know he's been awesome. And he's like sometimes the one I've left out of like my mini stacks, and I'm like, why would I do that? I'm just not going to do it anymore. But Vientos has been really good this year too, like really good. He hasn't played that much, but he's been great lately.
So here's something just totally off the board. I'm not play wise, which is something I wanted to mention. I tweeted about this, and I was going to discuss with you yesterday, but we didn't get in there. Since I've had the MLB package or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I watch a lot of the local announcers, and it's different. Local baseball announcers are just different than the national announcers. You can say better, worse, whatever it is, but it's certainly different. And first of all, I don't want to get too into this, but this one announcer from Oakland took a lot of heat for something she said. It descended into this. It's more misogyny than anything else. Like people went after, like that's what you get for letting a woman announce and stuff like that. Anyway, I thought she's basically was better than 50% of anybody else. And in any case, for those of you that didn't see it, I don't know how you could probably find a thread about it somewhere. But when Rhys Hoskins went back to Philly the other day, I happened to be watching that game, and I'll tell you, man, the announcers they did like such a great job with a couple of key moments in that game. Like for those that weren't watching, like first he got on base. Actually, first he might have struck out, whatever, but then he got on base and then he actually stole. Like his first stolen base in since the Eisenhower administration, pretty much. And you got this incredible view of real Muto behind the plate, just kind of smirking at him, whatever, and Hoskins just kind of saluting him or something like that. And the announcer did a great job of picking up on that. Like, oh, look, old friends, I'm telling you, they're needling each other. And then that inning ended with Hoskins getting tagged out at the plate, like by Real Muto, like trying to score.
Oh, really?
And see Real Muto like gave him a tap on it. Yeah, got you back, buddy. You know, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And the announcer did such a great job of picking up on that. And then it's almost if like you script it, like later in the game, like he hits a freaking home run.
Right.
Hoskins and Real Muto again gave him a kind of a thing, and Philadelphia, which is not exactly known for being like the nicest crew in the world, the fans, like they gave Hoskins like an incredible ovation. Like now, listen, if that home run had walked off against them instead of like bringing them to within 3 runs, it might have been a different result. But I don't know. I happen to shout out. I happen to think the announcer did a really, really good job. Like the home team announcers, like kind of. And it wasn't even the home team announcer. I think it was the Milwaukee announcers. That were announcing it. So I don't know. I thought they did a good job.
You mean they're not nice to homecoming? I mean, this is a city that once they booed their whatever. They claimed him and then they booed him like crazy. His first All-Star game there was Kobe Bryant because he went to Lower Merion, had his number retired and everything. They start booing him, and Kobe asked Kobe on the sideline, "Does this hurt your feelings?" He goes, "Yeah, this really hurts." That's Philly for you. They'll go after anybody usually, but they for some reason still love Hoskins. Who knew? All right, should we talk about the main slate?
Yeah, let me just finish. You could start. I just want to just finish this one.
Finish your thing. I'll jump into sort of. I guess I can't share both of them here. I'm still trying to decide what I want to do, so I'd love to go game by game real quick on that one if we have the time.
Okay.
Once you're done with that. Yeah, for what it's worth, out of my couple builds this morning, I did end up with one just playing as if the afternoon games are fine, and I ended up with with 2 that are assuming that the afternoon games are not going to be fine. So, and even if they're not fine, there's still plenty of outs for that one anyway. So that's sort of what I like. For what it's worth, we still don't have a Rockies lineup. I'm just going to keep an eye out for that and make sure that a Cincinnati lineup. Let's see if I've got anything new here. Here we go. Reds lineup. Friedel, De La Cruz, Candelario, Steele, Fraley, Stevenson, Hurtabusi, then India, then Benson. So a little different than what the projected lineup is, but not that much. Well, they had Hurtabusi in there. Never mind. Actually, that's pretty much on point for what was projected.
So I'm actually logging into to TrueDFS a second because I uploaded my sheets up there. This is what happens when I do the early slate as well. That I save the early slate stuff to my computer, and the other projections kind of get replaced. So I can't access the actual computer, so I'm going up to whatever. But okay, let me pull up at least on Saberson the boy. I see why what's his name Abdul is looking at the speed of the website. This is really slow. I'm trying to just look at the projection page over here.
Yeah, it gets to be a little when we've got with the multiple projection pages. I've noticed that it's gotten slow, but we're working on it. We've got some things. I'm actually meeting with them in a little bit.
Okay, great. Okay, so let's go game by game, I guess.
All right. This first game is the one with the weather issues, so we are not sure what's going to happen yet with it, and that's probably just as well for me. Good hitting day in Cleveland as far as it goes. 12-mile-an-hour winds, 80 degrees, 70% humidity. I don't have interest really in much here. I like Singer in general. I don't love this matchup for him. And I'm probably just off this game as a whole.
I don't know. What's Singer's price?
$9K.
Yeah. That's definitely not the best. So I'm hoping this game rains out as well. Actually, I don't even care. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let it play for all I care. I'm not particularly interested in either.
I'm just taking a quick look at something here because Singer, they and for what it's worth, this team has completely owned Singer. Like 350, 360 off him, 123 appearances. That's a lot. I mean, he must never have had a good start against them. That's wild. Okay, moving on to Tampa Bay and Miami. Anything? I guess I'll go. I guess I'll go.
Yeah, go for it.
I think Braxton Garrett is playable here. Yeah, this Ray's team has certainly left something to be desired hitting wise, but it's not like a play that I'm in love with. I do think that it is totally like reasonable. We haven't seen Zach Eflin in a while, so I don't know how many pitches he's going to throw. I'm going to take a quick look at his projected pitches. We got him at 70. Probably too little to play him here. So, I mean, oddly enough, another game that I'm just not all that excited about. I think you could argue for, I don't really know what would be that exciting to me. So I think you play Garrett for the upside, and that's probably the best play in the game as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm just kind of looking. I definitely think Garrett is playable. Not one of the top options, but I certainly think in MME, I think you can get there. As far as the hitting goes, again, this is what I like doing. Like I ran this early build, and you get like 94 million% Minnesota, but in the whole pool, actually Tampa is showing up as one of the higher owned teams. When you have 5,000 lineups, if that means anything. So I don't know. I'll consider some Tampa also. So I think both sides of that. So Garrett on the pitching side, and maybe some Tampa on the other side. Doesn't seem like either of them is that much of a priority though.
No, it's been a weird year for these Tampa Bay guys, and partly with the platoon. It's hard to know what their numbers are always a little like their fantasy numbers are always seem a little bit lower, but it's because they platoon so much. But they really haven't been all that good this year offensively. Historically, they've been very good against lefties, and this year, for what it's worth, they've hit lefties far better than righties, and they aren't what are they, middle of the they're a little below average when it comes to strike. So a little higher than average for strikeouts if you want to play Garrett, just for what it's worth. Just throwing that out there. All right. This is probably definitely the most interesting game to me because it is the first time, and they're not underdogs exactly. I guess they technically are. It's the first time the Dodgers have been underdogs this season. So last year it took about 110 games. People had this year that it was written that they would not be underdogs in any game. Well, today they are. They've got the strikeout king himself, the next future superstar of the NBA, of the NFL. I'm sorry, all the wrong sports I got of MLB. Paul Skeens on the mound against them. So this is a very, very interesting game. You're going to have an unowned Dodger stack against a rookie pitcher, but this rookie pitcher is probably the most hyped rookie we've had in, God, I can't even remember how long. Strider wasn't quite his rookie year where he was as hyped. So I would say even more than Strider. And Skeens is going to be one of the best pitchers in baseball for a long time, but he is still a rookie. And I'm sort of I see this as I definitely will have some exposure to Skeens. I'm not against James Paxton, and I'm not against either stack, especially considering the low ownership for the Dodgers and the fact that he's a rookie. And in the Pittsburgh case, I really haven't, been overly impressed with Paxton this year. So I'm sort of okay with every angle from this one. To make it a little worse though for the stacks, you do have, it's 77 degrees, nice hitting weather, but it's 8 degree wind coming in from right field. So maybe a little bit of a boost down, but I certainly could see playing all the prongs of this one.
Okay, so first of all, I don't know what Pittsburgh's attendance has been. But if they can't put people in the seats for this game, I don't know what else to tell you.
Yeah.
You got Skeens at home against the Dodgers. Like the only time they're probably going to maybe not the only time, but could be. Is it? I don't know how the scheduling works, like within the leagues, but I can't imagine the Dodgers show up to Pittsburgh too often, right?
Twice a year.
They better put some people in the seats for this.
They will.
And I'm going to be okay, Boomer, on this one. I mean. Give me the freaking Dodgers. Are you freaking kidding me? Like you're going to have Skeens to be all juiced up to play the Dodgers. God forbid they actually do fill the place in. And he is a rookie, and the Dodgers are the best hitting team, as far as I'm concerned. I don't even know what the most recent stats are showing, whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't know about playing them as the underdog, but I probably would take a shot, and I'd probably play the Dodgers in DFS. I mean, listen, but like you said, Skeens can get do his thing, like we can get 13 strikeouts, and pitch a gem here. But I think it's just, I would say just as likely, but I think the Dodgers lighting him up in a spot where he might get nervous is certainly in the offing too. So
it's also the Dodgers coming off of being shut out yesterday.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. So it's even more for the sheet style.
Yeah,
So
exactly. So I happen to like the Dodgers a lot.
all right, I like that idea. I think that I can go with it too, especially like when and we keep mentioning it, but like I said it yesterday about Baltimore, like on both shows that we did. When you get these elite offenses like below like 7%, below 6%, 5% as a stack, it's just usually a good idea to have exposure to them and be well ahead of that because there's no reason they can't explode against anybody. This is, I think, the next game. I think we're gonna get into. Well, I thought there'd be a little more ownership than there is so far, but we'll see. Rodon, I have no issue with as a pitcher. I know that you're always questioning. I would say that this is a team that historically has been much better against left-handed pitching than it is against right-handed pitching, and I'm not quite as into him as I was Luis Gil last night. So I have Rodon and. Kind of surprised the Yankees aren't looking to be more popular. I guess it's because they're expensive. Well, they're not even expensive all the way through. So I like the Yankees and I like Rodon. That's what I like here.
I like both sides of the bats here quite a bit. I showed you before that my initial builds on Saber similes were getting me 95% Minnesota. That's without even considering ownership or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely like that. And I think the Yankees, I mean, this is also a pretty good spot to get fraud checked by like Chris Paddock, coming into New York. Maybe Paddock's turned it around. Maybe he's kind of like been walking through the raindrops a little bit. I think this is a pretty good spot for him to get lit up also. So obviously I wouldn't say that Minnesota's a good spot for them to light anybody up, right? But they happen to look cheap and they look like good plays or whatever. So I do like both. I think Buxton, is very reasonable at 4,400 among other spots. So I like both sides of the bats here, and I'm not playing Rodon.
Yeah, I totally understand. And for what it's worth, Rodon has faced them a pretty good amount, and they've hit him pretty well. So I have no issue with taking some Twins bats. I'm just taking another look here with the wins are just cross wins, nothing to worry about. I just was looking. All right, next up we have Baltimore and Toronto. We're going in reverse today, I guess. Sheets.
Who's pitching for Baltimore? Is it a bullpen game?
I think Suarez, which turns into like a bullpen-ish.
It's Suarez. I see. Okay.
Technically, he could just go. I mean, he did pitch 5 innings the last game, but he was pitching 3 innings and like 3 or 4 most times he's been out there. One time he pitched 1 inning. They just like opened with him. So yeah, it's a little bit up in the air. So all right, so. Barrios and Suarez. In general, I'd just say I don't mind Barrios and ever, but I definitely don't want to go out of my way to play him today. And I think you have 2 legitimate low-owned options at offense that are decent offenses. I like this Baltimore team. I don't know what to tell you. I want to keep playing them. They're always, when they play their home games, they're always on that earlier part of the slate. But I could definitely talk myself into some Baltimore. I could definitely talk myself into some Blue Jays. Neither one of them are like priorities, but I'm definitely okay with either of them. No pitching for me.
Nope. I'm probably not getting to the hitting either, though. Just for lack of just because of other options. But I'm probably making this one kind of a zero pronger, at least for now. Mm-hmm. Baltimore, are they in first? No, they're in the Yankees division. They can't be in first. But they're boy, who'd have thought? I mean, look at who's in the first. I mean, you got Seattle in first place. Let's go. Got Seattle in first. Houston's starting to get kind of hot. This is getting a little annoying. They were like 15 games under 500 for a while, right? And now, they're kind of, and now Oakland and the Angels are back in last where they're supposed to be. I'm just looking at the stat. I'm just kind of for the first time looking at these standings here.
Yeah.
Kansas City's obviously playing possum. They're going to get it going and win that division eventually.
Kansas City's been awesome, though. It's just that Cleveland's been great, too.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm probably going to play very, very little of this. But like you said, I mean, both teams can smack the ball. More to the point, Baltimore.
Right.
But I think Barrios is probably good enough to keep me off of Baltimore.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. All right. Why don't you start off this next one? The Maeda and Arena here.
So so Arena is 6K against Detroit. So to me, that means one of 2 things. It means you're supposed to play Urena or you're supposed to play Detroit. that's my very obvious, I guess, obvious take here. Currently, I have Detroit as the top overall value on the slate, actually tied with Minnesota. Actually, so I happen to like Detroit here a lot, and that's that. And also on the other side of this, I happen to like Texas also. So both sides of the bats here. I'm not going to do the arena thing. It's going to be 2 sets of bats for me.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't think I'll be doing it myself. Although, because we'll see at the end of the slate, but about the pitch who we want to pitch. But there is a lack of guys that I feel extremely comfortable with today. So look, I haven't. I love Texas. It's hard for me with Maeda because he was my guy for so long, and it's not just that. It's just he was always really good at never really getting hit hard, but that's just not who he is anymore. The last time he faced Texas, I think he lasted all of 2 innings before he gave up 7 runs. I think this is a great spot for Texas. I know they're going to have some ownership. I think Seager and Simeon are projected that. Well, actually, not that much. The most of the ownership looks to be going to Detroit, but I think these are the 2 best offenses. They're the two best offensive opportunities because of how bad the pitching is. But it's not just Maeda; it's the fact that I don't trust that bullpen either. So I do like the Texas as the explosion if you can get to them. They're just a little bit more expensive, obviously, than Detroit. And I agree with what you said, Detroit for value. So both those teams are really good. And we're going to talk about a Wrigley win game coming up in just a minute after that. I think that's our next one, right? Yeah.
Yep.
So if you didn't, no, it's not even if you didn't like any of that. It's just this is where we're at today. So what do you like in this one, Sheets? Because it looks like
you have regression Fetty in a nasty spot. In Chicago with the wind blow in Wrigley, I guess, they're already in Chicago with the wind blowing out. I think the Cubs are going to look really, really good. I wonder how chalky they're going to be at the end of the day. I don't know if it's going to be that much. We'll see. But I definitely like the Cubs, and I like the other side too. I mean, why should the wind blow differently for the White Sox against Talia? So I like both sides of this. I don't think it's going to. I was about to say I don't think it's going to be particularly earth-shattering. Right now, I don't see anybody.
Yeah, what is that? Why isn't it more popular?
Yeah, I don't know. We're going to find out, I guess. So, yeah, I definitely like both sides of this.
Yeah, Fetty gets a lot of respect. I just want to point out how, I know he did have 8 strikeouts in 5 innings in his last start against Milwaukee, where I stacked against him, and that was the biggest day I played probably in baseball in 2 months or since the very beginning of the season. And he gave up 9 hits and 4 walks in 5 innings, and somehow they just couldn't score enough runs on him. I was just getting
he's the leader of the free world.
It was the bases loaded in that game 4 times. They left the bases loaded. That's ridiculous. It's just when you're playing DFS, it's just what you don't want to see anyway. Yeah, I don't see why we wouldn't just hammer away here. The thing is, if Tyon was pitching and there was anything just even moderate conditions, he'd be really popular against Chicago today. So I'm gonna include Tyon in my mix. But I also think the White Sox are not a bad idea either. And if this is really going to be the ownership on the Cubs, I understand that Fetty has gotten better and all this stuff. I'll just load up on the Cubs. This is the obvious stack. I thought this was going to be what everyone played today. I thought it was going to be fairly obvious. So I am just sign me up. I'm in on the Cubs. I have them as number 1. The Cubs in Texas right now are rating ahead of everybody else for me. But and then Tyon, I don't know what to do, but I certainly don't mind the White Sox either. So this is where I definitely plan on doing a good portion of what I'm doing today: the Texas game and then the Chicago game.
So we're getting some pitchers coming up soon, and let's start right here. San Diego Angels. I currently have Cease as tied for the best pitcher on the slate, along with the guy that's coming up next. So I think he's extremely solid. I am not getting to, I think, anything else. I'm not playing Soriano. I'm wondering if maybe I'm supposed to be playing the Padres, but I'm currently not getting to them. So for me, it's Cease and probably a lot of nothing.
Yeah, I too like Cease as my top pitcher today, and I don't think it's impossible to get away with some Soriano here. I don't think it's the worst thing. It is hard with that Arias in the lineup. It just feels like there's much less strikeouts, even though it's really only one bat. It just feels like, you're never striking anybody out. I think the Padres are reasonable, but I like the other stacks we talked about a little bit better. personally. And yeah, that's where I'm at for right now. But I know, yeah, if you get to the Padres, I certainly wouldn't mind it if it like just happened in your builds or whatever. Go with it. But I didn't go out. I find myself going out of my way to play them. So they're always a weird stack because like you don't want to pay like as great a hitter as Arias is with no power. You don't want to pay him 47 for 100 for him at first base, and then you don't really want to build a stack without him. So it's like a weird situation to stack San Diego. It's always been the issue with the Arias thing for me. All right.
So the last game. So then you have Gilbert. So I guess the question is who do we like more between Gilbert and Cease? And obviously you could just play them both. But then again, I mean, you got some. I mean, thinking back to like some of the other spots here, where is the upside? I guess you could consider the Pittsburgh guy, right? He's obviously got a lot. He's obviously got a lot of upside. But aside from that, there's a whole lot of nothing. If you want to know the truth, like Rodon. I mean, listen, I was saying obviously play Minnesota, but I think Rodon is probably. I'm just talking about like who can do anything. Probably the next best pitcher, I guess. I don't know. Garrett maybe. So there's really not a lot. So Cease Gilbert are going to be. I don't know if you really want to. I mean, I guess you could play them together. I mean, there's obviously stuff you could do. So yeah, Gilbert looks really, really good, and as usual, whoever. So weird. I just went over saying, oh my god, it's so cool. Seattle's in first place, and it's so funny the dichotomy between DFS and like the rest of the world. Like we as DFS players say, okay, who's pitching against Seattle? Let's play them, and all Seattle does is win. You know, it's like so funny.
All they do is win, but they also have like probably the best pitching staff in baseball.
Right.
Or one of the three.
Yeah. But in any case, my current builds have Estes as being the third highest owned pitcher on my board. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. So yeah, I think the pitching in this in the last two games where you go Cease / Gilbert. I think Estes is fair enough, I guess. And then again, I'm showing you my initial builds here for the late games. It looks like Cease, Gilbert, actually Skeens 20%, along with Garrett and Estes. And as I mentioned, Minnesota is just rates really strong, and then the Dodgers for me. And then I currently am not getting too much of the White Sox and Cubs, which is I guess that's owing to maybe they're not going to be as highly owned. I don't know, but I think by the end of the day, I'm gonna do it. So that's kind of my overall summary. What do you think of this game, and what do you think of this slate?
Just because of the ownership that's projected on Seattle, I think I'll just fade them. Like they're supposed to be the most popular offense tonight because people are going to try and force in the Cease Gilbert, maybe Skeens or Rodon combinations. I think. So I would ordinarily have liked them if this was a different slate. If this was yesterday, even I would probably have been into Seattle. It's just when I'm looking at them as being potentially the highest owned stack, I just feel like there's so many other ways I can build and do some different things. So I am probably going to be out that. I am very interested in Gilbert. I have he and Cease as 1 and 2. And there's a lot of ways you could play this. Like Seattle's a very strange team. They have the second worst batting average against. Did I freeze? Oh wait, there it goes. They have the second worst batting average against righties. They have they're like whatever bottom 8 in runs scored, but they do have a ton. They do hit a ton of home runs, which is kind of interesting. So I don't know, but for them to be a chalk like with a 280 whatever OPS, I mean, it's just they're on base percentages. It's just too low for me to like play them as a chalky stack. Anyway. So Gilbert and Seattle, and that's my priorities will be Cease Gilbert, followed by Garrett, Rodon, and Skeens. Maybe Tyon if I get frisky enough. The Cubs I have as number 1. Then I have both sides of Texas and Detroit. Then the Dodgers, then the White Sox. That's my order of how I like things today. And I will definitely have Skeens in a middle to the higher range buy-in, and I'll definitely have a Dodgers stack in a middle to higher range buy-in. I don't usually love doing that with guys that talented, but it feels weird to see the Dodgers against any rookie pitcher just not to take a shot. And by the way, this guy throws harder than everybody in baseball by a long shot. Do you know who hits hard fastballs better than anybody in baseball? The Dodgers. You know it's better than anybody in baseball? Mookie and Shohei are the two best hard fastball hitters. So I'll take a shot with the Dodgers, just like you said. But might be more of a mini stack for me, just because I do have respect for Steams. All right, so we're gonna get out of here. We're gonna do golf. But how do we do it? Oh yeah, we could probably just do golf sheets and then probably even be done in time for you to, if you have to do any edits or anything to your lineup.
I should be good with my lineups anyway.
Okay, great. So we'll be right back with golf then, guys.
Actually, let's keep the times right. Let's do 1 o'clock.
Okay, we'll do it at 1 Eastern.